we do have breaking news. In 24 hours, just the past 24 hours, this president has vetoed pay for the military, stalled relief for millions of you, and issued the most toxic tally of pardons we have ever seen.
Oh, I don't know, Chris. Have you seen any of the other pardons lists for any of the other pardons to compare their toxicity? Do you have a toxicity meter that you went woo, 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 and you kind of just waved your little magic wand, your little toxicity wand over the pardons of these other people? Did you do any homework? Did you do any research? Do you know anything about anything about any of the other pardons for any of these other presidents? Of course you don't. Of course you don't. You're just talking smack just like you always do. You get paid tens of thousands of dollars a day, probably have $100 million in the bank almost already if you're talking your shit on the air, and here we go again. You don't know anything about the pardons of any of these other presidents. You don't know anything about Bill Clinton's 396 pardons. You don't know anything about Ronald Reagan's 393 pardons. You don't know anything about Barack Obama's 212 pardons, or Richard Nixon's 863 pardons, or Lyndon Johnson's 960 pardons, or Harry Truman's 1,913 pardons, or Franklin Delano Roosevelt's 2,819 pardons. If I was the president, what did Trump just pardon? 26 people? If I was the president, I'd probably pardon 26,000 people. Just to make a point, just to deliver a message. But what you're going to sit here and whine and bitch, piss, and moan about Trump's pardons? Why don't you champion the cause of pardoning Julian Assange when we're going to talk about pardons? You're broaching the subject. You're talking about pardons. Have you ever rubbed two sentences together in support of pardoning Julian Assange? You don't take a position on that. You're a Democrat. You're one of these soulless, mindless, demon-possessed Democrats. They got evil on the brain. They're some of the most evil people alive in the world today, and you're one of them, and you're just like them, and you couldn't care less about pardoning somebody who's just a publisher, just like you. He's a journalist, just like you. He publishes. If somebody comes and brings him something that is leaked, or it might be leaked, or it might not, and there's a moral judgment, there's a moral call on something that we did, something where we're breaking the law. You go out and you go out in the street and you see a woman getting raped, and you just stand there, and if anybody tries to blow the whistle, if anybody tries to call them out, to get these rapists put in jail where they belong, you don't have any interest in that, do you, Chris? And I love how a $740 billion NDAA bill that Trump vetoed gets boiled down to the least common denominator that you care about, that you can play your cheap sleazebag, grimy, slimy, slobbery politics with, Chris Cuomo. You boil a $740 billion military-industrial complex bill down to pay for the military. The pay for the military. Oh, is that what it was? Is that how much we're paying? Is that the salary expense of our military men and women in serving in the armed forces? $740 billion.
26 new Trump pardons tonight. Gifts to many convicted criminals that you know well, who did horrible things. Many admitted it. And then he left to go golf in Florida.
Yet again, we have another fake implication, another fake inference that somehow when a president pardons somebody, they're not convicted of a crime. The implication being that, well, they haven't done anything yet, they haven't committed a crime, or they haven't been convicted of a crime, and so, but the president is just going to pardon them anyway, just in case something happens in the future, just to make them immune from any future prosecution of something that they haven't even been tried or charged or convicted of yet. Good going, Chris Cuomo. That's the garbage. That's another. There's a million examples of garbage that you put in your listeners' ears, Chris Cuomo, but that's just another one. I mean, I can find garbage in every sentence you say on the air. Other people can't, but I can. I'll pick every sentence you say on the air that you make your millions of dollars saying. I can bust it up and break it apart and find the garbage in it. It's all trash bullshit. And this is another one. Don't put that inference in people's minds. Don't put that implication in people's ears that you don't have to be, that somehow it's just a preventative measure, or you're getting ahead of the curve and you're preventing any future trouble that this person might get in for anything. How the hell do you know what the hell they did if they haven't been convicted of it yet? I mean, they have at least been charged. So, and then he goes out and he plays golf afterwards. So if he was just sitting in his White House, if he was just sitting in the Oval Office pouting about it, he's just feeling really bad about himself for who he just pardoned. If he had a conscience and he was regretting it already, oh well, then that's somehow going to be better. That's better. That would let him off the hook. You'd forgive him. You'd let him go. If he was just sitting around pouting, feeling bad about what he did, instead of going to Mar-a-Lago and playing golf. Really, Chris? I mean, it wouldn't make a damn bit of difference. If you never left the White House at all, if you sat around and laid around in bed all day, it wouldn't make a damn bit of difference to you. You just went and played golf, and so you just want to play politics with it. That's all it is. Meaningless tripe.
After vetoing pay for the military, after leaving relief in limbo, millions of Americans don't have food for Christmas, let alone money for heat or gifts, and he knows it.
The American people have been waiting for stimulus for 8 months, Chris Cuomo. 240 plus days. And what were you talking about for the past 240 days? Where these people were becoming housing insecure, where these people were becoming job insecure, where these people were being shut down, where these people were told they couldn't stay open, they couldn't keep paying their employees, they couldn't keep paying their rent, they were becoming food insecure, they couldn't afford to feed their families. And where were you at asking Nancy Pelosi to get to work? Where were you at asking Chuck Schumer to get to work? Where the hell were you when all of this was going on and all these people were suffering and dying? You were nowhere to be seen. You were bitching about Trump and Trump's feelings and Trump's tweets. That's what you were doing. Now, Trump leaves a relief bill on his desk for one day. He just leaves it on the desk. He doesn't sign it. That's not a veto. Oh, everybody kept on the news. That was another bit of fake news that went around all the circles on the mainstream media. That he vetoed the bill. No, he didn't. It's not a veto. I mean, these pundits, these millionaires, these $30 million a year pundits on the air that are paid to talk their trash, they're talking about vetoes. He didn't veto it, you dummies. But that's what you're saying. Oh, it's as good as a veto. And then you're trying to spin it off as, oh, it's even worse than a veto. That's the worst thing he could have done, just leave it sitting on his desk. And vetoing it would have been better than just leaving it on his desk. I mean, I guess if the legislators know that it's been vetoed, then they need to go right back to work. No Christmas for them. No New Year's celebrations for them with friends and family like they all surely had. They need to get right back to work immediately because people are starving. All of a sudden, on Christmas it matters because they need money for gifts. I mean, that's what this bourgeois, elitist, this upper class, elitist, corporate prostitute, that's what he thinks of when he thinks of Trump leaving the relief bill on the table. People aren't going to have gift money for Christmas. Shame on you, Chris Cuomo.
And he doesn't sign the relief bill, and he doesn't veto it. So he knows nothing will happen.
Trump has been president for 4 years, and it's like you haven't learned a damn thing about him. You report on him every single day. You know what he thinks. You know how he feels. You know what he believes in. You know what he does. You read all of his Twitters. You obsess about Trump day in and day out. You still haven't fucking figured it out what this president does. He does one thing on Tuesday, and then he turns around Wednesday, and he does the exact opposite. Whatever the hell it was he said on Tuesday morning, he's saying the complete opposite by Thursday afternoon. And he's done this hundreds and hundreds of times. You still haven't figured it out yet. He knows. Here you are telling your viewers what Trump knows. You don't know what Trump knows. You still don't know what he knows. You don't know what he knows. You don't know what he feels. You don't know what he thinks. It wasn't worse than, here you're almost spinning it up to be worse than a veto. No, he didn't just leave it there and that's the worst possible outcome. He signed the damn, just like he always does. He went back to work after playing golf or whatever it was he was doing, and he signed the damn thing. Did you give him credit for that? Did you say, well, at least he went back to work and he signed the bill? Am I going to hear you somewhere giving credit for Donald Trump or any of your colleagues on CNN giving credit to Donald Trump? No, of course not. Of course not. You had no idea that he was going to come back to his desk in a couple of days and sign the damn bill, did you? Those 2 days were the only 2 days that counted as far as making people wait for stimulus. Forget about the other 8.5 months. That doesn't matter. It's just this 2 days that Trump went and played golf. Now all of a sudden everybody's going to starve to death in 2 days flat. You don't care about the American people, Chris Cuomo. You don't care about American citizens that are starving and dying. CNN couldn't care less.
There is a gift in this moment, and I hope you decide to accept it once and for all. It is the gift of ultimate clarity about this outgoing president. Democrats, independents, real Republicans, you all now know, just based on the last 24 hours alone, this guy is the worst ever.
Just in the past 24 hours, just in the past these magical 24 hours of, forget about all those other 24 hours. What about all those other 24 hours, Chris? What about all those other days when you're sitting here putting total cases, your garbage statistics about COVID-19 total cases? You people wouldn't know total cases if it came up and kicked you in the head. You have no idea. Every medical mistake that's been committed by hospitals with anybody who's running in there with COVID-19, you count, it's COVID-19. That's the death. That's the cause of death is COVID-19. You intubated somebody. Only half of their chest is rising up and down. You leave them on the hospital bed waiting because you can't get them in to get an x-ray, or you can't get them in to get a CAT scan to find out what the hell is going on inside their chest, what tissue you stuck the tube down into. You leave them sitting on the bed for 5.5 hours and they die in the bed. What's their cause of death? COVID-19. 24 hours. You want everybody to make the judgment call, and you care. You care so much. You hope. I'm going to use your words. You hope. Why do you hope that people think that Donald Trump is the worst president ever, Chris? Why the hell do you hope this? I mean, why do you get your feelings involved? Report the news, you son of a bitch. You should be unbiased. You should be fair and balanced. I'm not going to make any kind of dibs. I'm not putting any props on Fox News Channel to say that. They're as far away from fair and balanced as you can get. And you can't let your emotions get involved. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what you feel, Chris. It doesn't matter what you hope. Report the news. Cold, calculated, headline news. What happened to the old-fashioned, shoe leather? You're going around journalism, where you're going around and you're knocking on doors and you're interviewing people and you're finding out the facts, you're finding out the truth of things. Why don't you do that? You're sitting in your air-conditioned studio with your makeup all over your face. You don't know what the hell is going on. You're as dumb as it gets. And you're making your viewers even dumber than you are. And why do you hope? You hope that everybody thinks that Donald Trump is the worst president they've ever... This is proof positive of the messaging, of the narrative that CNN is putting on their viewers. You shouldn't have any hope that somebody else has an opinion about anybody. And you're a small-minded little boob. You're all... CNN is full of small-minded little imbeciles that all they want to do is talk about other people. The smallest-minded thing that you can talk about is other people. And that's all you talk about. 90% of the time is you're talking about other people. You're a little third grader, Chris Cuomo. You're a little baby. You're a whiny little bitch.
He is the worst president we have ever seen. Period. He has not only proven to be incompetent, but he is indeed truly inhumane. He has denied the hungry. He has denied our warriors. He has denied a pandemic, and he does not give a damn about anything but lying about it all and faking his own greatness. That is the truth.
If after 4 years your viewers don't even know by now that Donald Trump is full of shit, that they don't know by now that Donald Trump is a liar, you have failed miserably to do your job. You should have been able to confirm this in about the first 4 days of his being president. Okay, we're going way back. We got to go back almost 4 years ago. Your viewers should have already known by then. And you're still, the way you're presenting this today, people still don't get it, do they? And these are the people that are watching you. These is your own viewing audience, and you're patronizing. You're talking down to your own viewing audience like this that they don't even know yet by now? After 4 fucking years? They don't know yet that Donald Trump is full of shit. We know he's full of shit. Yeah, maybe these things that you're saying about Trump, since all you want to talk about is Donald Trump, maybe these things that you're saying about Trump are true. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's not the only truth. Nobody else gives a shit either. You think Mitch McConnell gives a shit? You think Chuck Schumer gives a shit? You think Nancy Pelosi gives a shit? You've been sitting on your hands for the past 8.5 months, Chris Cuomo. You've been sitting on your fucking hands talking about trivial tripe, okay? Trying to get the National Defense Authorization Act passed. Welfare for the military-industrial complex. You've been putting people out of business, and you've been lustfully doing it, Chris Cuomo. You want to do it. You want to tell these mom and pops to go shut their doors and shutter their lives and go die. You want to tell these small business owners to go die, to go shut down. They can't afford to hire their employees anymore. They can't afford to keep the lights on. They can't afford to pay the rent. They can't afford the food and the taxes and everything else that they have to pay to keep their operations. And no, just tell them to all go shut down, or you're going to go make movies. But I guess if Hollywood was making a movie about Donald Trump, that would be just fine. Keep all those people employed. Keep feeding those people.
It is demonstrated by everything we have seen. It must be his legacy. And those who have ignored and empowered him, those who have solicited this brand of his own horrible actions towards others, are complicit. He must be remembered as the worst, if only for this alone, and if only this is what we had seen, it would already make him the worst, on top of years of perfidy, of deceit, of lies, of viciousness towards those who need protection consistently. You literally have seen nothing to feel any other way, and yet you do.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is called failing, Chris. You failed. You failed to change even your own viewing audience's mind. They've seen nothing on CNN to think otherwise. That's for damn sure. You've seen nothing else, and you still... They've seen nothing on CNN, that's true. Nothing on your program. Nothing in your broadcast, okay? That's for damn sure. They haven't seen anything worth giving Trump any credit for anything that he's ever done in the past 4 years. That's true. And yet they still... What does that say about you, Chris? They still don't believe you. What does that say about you? They know you're full of shit. That's what it means. Trump is a liar. Yes. And you are a liar. Yes. Yes, you are. This isn't mutually exclusive. There's no exclusivity here. This isn't a choice. Trump's full of shit, and you too are completely full of shit. And what is this about telling your viewers what they must do? You must. Chris, you can't tell anybody what they must do. Okay, and this is the language of politicians. This is the language of Hillary Clinton, and the language of John Kerry, and the language of Joe Biden. The language of politicians everywhere from both parties who tell us what we must do and we need to. I mean, if you want to hear a politician in the United States of America in the year 2020 or 2021 given a speech, every time they say the word need, drink. Drink. That's the new drinking game for politicians in the United States of America in 2020. Every time they say the word need, how about it must? All right? We can even play a drinking game on must. Every time they say that we must and what we must do, you drink. You take a shot. We'll see how fucking wasted you get by the end of the speech. If we say need, if we play the drinking game with need, you people are going to be in the hospital. You're going to be so drunk. You're not going to be able to handle your alcohol. That's way too many shots. That's alcohol poisoning. You're going to wind up in the hospital unconscious and probably dead. So maybe that isn't a good idea to play the drinking game with need. But now we got pundits on the air. We got dum-dums like you, Chris Cuomo, telling other people what they need to and what they must do and what they have to. Get a load of yourself. You're nobody to tell anybody about anything in any way at any time what they need to or what they must to or what they have to do. I don't care if you're Italian. I don't even care if you're Sicilian. Get a load of yourself.
But you have to just keep your eye on the urgency that this president has just ignored. The man has gone to Florida after blowing up the relief bill. He won't sign it. But if you're going to do something about the relief bill, you got to do it. They need to do that anyway. The Republicans have to figure out what the hell they're about anymore. Of course we have to figure out what to do. We must change. Let it be a gift to us before this Christmas. He is the worst. We must get better from here. We have to work through it, but not this way. Not right before Christmas, not when you're going to leave town, not with people starving. He is the worst we have ever seen. And then you leave, almost assuring no action on the relief. Walk the walk. Why didn't you veto the bill? Why didn't you then, if you're not going to veto it, tell McCarthy to meet Pelosi on the floor and vote it out? Why didn't you make a deal? Why did you leave? Why did you leave? If you believe in a God, I don't care what your religion is. Who does this? By all accounts, you are not working on a deal. Every day you golf. Every day you delay is another day of paralyzing pain in a country that you owe. And you know this. And you won't veto so that there can be some kind of action. You won't tell your minions to meet Pelosi. Why? What is this about? Who did you really do this for? How can the answer not be you? How can the truth not be that you wanted to look the part of the hero just when you're trying to undo democracy, even though you know you were torpedo a compromise that has been months in the making that you ignored while your people helped negotiate? It is the worst thing you could do in this situation. And you made this situation. You ignored this pandemic. You made a bad play. You thought if you ignored it, it would go away and the economy would be okay and you would win, and you were wrong. And you doubled down on dumb. And this time, it bit all of us in the ass. And the only reason you would defend that is because you don't want to give in to the status quo. But what are you saying when you decide to reject the status quo by making it worse, by injecting the political equivalent of a virus into our political corpus? And that's what Trump is. He is not a cure. He has never been a cure. He was never going to be a cure. He was injected as a virus to make the system sick, and he has. And now we are on our knees in this country. And the only chance for us to get to a better place is to recognize what we have had all along: the ability to come together, to be about a common cause, and to demand better from the men and women that we invest with power to do our business. If you expect nothing, you get this. This man is the worst. Can you imagine what it means about where the hell we are in this country that Republicans can say that with sober mind? People are starving. And what he just did with the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, is even weirder. Why? Well, he doesn't like this Section 230. This fringe. Look, but no more. This has to be a bottom. He must be seen as the worst, and we must run away from him and this type of behavior as fast as we ever have collectively as a country before. Anybody who wants to continue his kind of just crooked ways must be condemned, and early, because this cannot be repeated. Trump is the worst. We have never seen anything like this. This kind of insensitivity to humanity.
This video is rated R for language. I warn my viewers ahead of time that I'm going to have some dirty language on my video, which there is definitely going to be some dirty language in this video. But not Chris Cuomo. Not Chris Cuomo on primetime CNN News, where families are watching, where mothers and fathers and young children and older children are all watching TV. They're all tuning into CNN, watching the news. Chris Cuomo doesn't warn his viewers that he's going to swear and cuss all over his channel, and that's what he's going to do. And he's going to do it in just the clippings of his footage that I put on this video. He's going to be swearing multiple times, but he's not going to warn his viewers about the language that he uses. I do. I will. So I'm the one that gets banned. YouTube has to ban me. Shadow ban me. I'm shadow banned. Not Chris Cuomo, though. Chris Cuomo can spread his garbage all up and down all over YouTube and everywhere else. YouTube isn't going to silence one word he has to say. He's an expert. He's an expert. E-X-S-P-U-R-T. S-P-U-R-T. He's an expert.
I thought that's who you were.
No, punk ass bitches from the right call me Fredo. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN.
Oh, you're much.
Fredo is from The Godfather. He was that weak brother.
Isn't that your
and
brother?
And they use it as an Italian aspersion. Any of you Italian? Are you Italian? It's a fucking insult to your people. It's an insult to your fucking people. It's like the N-word for us.
Wow.
Is that a cool fucking thing?
You're a much more reasonable guy in person than you seem to be on television.
Yeah, but if you want to play, then we'll fucking play. If you got something you want to say about what I do on television, then say it. But don't be the fault me.
Hey man, hey, listen.
What?
I don't want any problems.
Yeah, you're gonna have a big fucking problem.
What's the
It's
problem?
a little different on TV. Don't fucking insult me like that.
I didn't insult you.
You call me Fredo. It's like I call you punk bitch. You like that? You want that to be your nickname?
I didn't call you that.
You called me Fredo. You know my name's not fucking Fredo.
I thought your name was.
You did not think my name was fucking Fredo. Don't be a liar.
I thought your
You want to
name
be a
was.
man, stand up like a man.
I'm standing up, man.
You want to be a man, I'm
Yeah,
here.
I'm standing
Then
up.
fucking own it. Then own what you
Listen,
said.
man, hey.
Then own what you said.
Listen,
Take
man,
him
I don't
yeah,
have
what?
a problem with you, man.
Yeah, you're gonna have a fucking problem.
What? What are you gonna do about it?
I'll fucking ruin
Do
your
something
shit.
then.
I'll
Do
fucking throw you down these stairs like a fucking punk.
Please do.
Why? So
Come on,
you
you
can
don't wanna
fucking
do
sue?
that. You don't
So
wanna
you
do
can
that.
fucking sue?
Well, why don't you do it
Go
then?
take a swing. You want to call me Fredo? Take a fucking swing.
I'm not gonna swing
Take
at
a
you.
fucking swing. Watch your fucking hands.
I'm not gonna
Take a
swing.
swing. Watch your
Hey,
fucking
I'm not
hands.
gonna
Take a
swing.
swing. No, come on, boy. Come on, boy. You want to call me shit? Call me shit then.
Hey, listen, man.
I'm right
I'm
fucking
not
here.
doing anything.
I'll fucking wreck your shit. I'll fucking wreck your shit.
Stop.
You didn't know what you were doing when
I
you
thought
called
it
me
was your
Fredo?
name, man.
You didn't know.
I thought it was your name.
You didn't know, right?
Hey,
You didn't know what you were saying, right?
I thought it was his name.
I'm breaking it up. I'm breaking it up. This is my body.
Hey, look at all these cameras. You're in for it. You're in for it.
I mean, for what?
You're
You
in
call me
for it.
fucking Fredo?
You're in for it.
You call me Fredo?